So, as you can see, pretty cold up here in sunny Scotland. Have a look at that. No flying for me. Hi there pilots, Happy New Year to all. So I'm starting to see the videos all coming out now. First paramotor flight of 2025, or stormy weather, failed launch, the old massive catastrophe videos coming out as well. So this is day 7 without a flight. Happy New Year everyone. I ain't flying anywhere because as you can see it's incredibly slippy, slidey, and I don't know if you can see that wind turbine away in the distance, but it's blowing a bastard. As is the norm, if anybody owns a dog, it doesn't matter the weather. You got to take the little lovely darlings out. So, how are you? I am fine. New Year was okay. I spent it round a neighbour's house where a bunch of us went round for many drinks. Great to see the new year in. I was kind of hoping the next day it would be fabulous weather, or the day after, and I'd be flying from this field or other fields that we have. But sadly not. The weather looks crap for the next week, so while everybody's getting up for their first New Year flights, it's not me. So 2025, I think I'm going to be into the middle of January before I see the Paramotor coming out. That said, I do have a few things to do on it. It is due 25-hour maintenance, and as a paramotor pilots, they should always use these bad weather conditions to do the maintenance on their paramotor. Check your wing out, make sure everything's okay. Here's hoping the next time you see me, we'll be in the air. Till then, bottoms up. Ugh. Hi friends, how are you doing? As you can see, it's day 10, still no flyable weather. I wonder if you can guess why. So, what do we do in these situations? Well, as I said in the previous video, we're going to need to do some maintenance, 25-hour maintenance. So I'm going to use this opportunity to brave the weather, go and do some shopping, and read up on the maintenance I have to do in a coffee shop somewhere where it's warm. Let's go! Well, I had to switch to my phone because my GoPro battery died. So anyway, having consulted the Monster 185 maintenance manual, so it appears that there are 4 main parts that you have to have a look at. Carburetor mesh, check that that's not clogged up. So I've had a look at a video on how to remove that and make sure it's not clogged, so we'll give that a clean. Airbox, removing the sponge, making sure it's all clean as well, so we'll do that as well. Pool starter, that's got to check the dogs in there, your pull start in general, but that's had a shed load of maintenance done on it. Check this video of all the problems I had. Checking the spark plug for cleanliness and changing, but I'm just going to change the spark plug. None of this checking for cleanliness crap. We'll just change it. So there's 4 main things there. So over the next few days, I'll probably do that because I think the weather ain't getting any better. Right then, better go and do the shopping. Hi friends, how are you doing? Right, so back to my maintenance that we discussed earlier. The weather's still rubbish, so great opportunity to do maintenance on your Paramotor. Mine's due 25-hour service, and the good manual says, as discussed previously, that we have to clean the airbox out and the sponge, spark plug inspection, which I'm going to change. There's a mesh inside the carburetor, which we're going to make sure is not clogged. And then there's the starter as well. But we've done the starter, as discussed. The manual also goes into great detail on all the bolts, making sure everything's secure. But to be quite honest, you should be doing that anyways as part of your pre-flight checks. But I'll be doing that all anyway. I'll be doing it as per the manual, making sure that everything's secure, everything's tight, nothing's falling off. But the main thing is, airbox, carburetor, spark plug, starter, done. So, we'll do the airbox first. So what we need to do is we need to undo this screw and bolt here to take it off of this, and it should just come off. However, one thing to be aware of as well, there's obviously this as well. So this needs to come off as well. It needs to be checked anyway because we want to make sure that this is intact because we don't want that falling off when we're in the air. So we'll take this off, we'll make sure it's all intact, replace if need be, and then we'll clean the airbox out. Right then, so here we go. Let's just undo this. Hope my massive head isn't in the way. One thing I noticed about these as well is they're never usually that tight. They're tight, but you don't want to over tighten them when you're putting them back on, so just something to be aware of. So look, that came out quite easily. You can see the sponge inside already. Just make sure it's clean, and then we want to take this off as well, the holding here, just so that we can inspect it as well. We'll just check that there. I'll take you with me. So there's tape around this as well, so we'll just undo that. We'll replace that when we can. Right. So that's off. As you can see, it's pretty much bungee cord, so there's going to be a bit of a knot there to try and get out. So once I've got that out, this will come free, and I'll just inspect it, make sure it's still intact, and then we can reuse that. It looks fine, to be fair, and then we'll put it back together again. So I'm going to go and try and get this knot out. Okay, so that's a little blighter out, meaning said airbox is good to go. Okay. Here's the airbox. Right, so you'll notice that this end here faces downwards, so just remember that. And then what you can do is you can get this bad boy out. There we go. And what you'll notice as well, there's a long part and a shorter part. So the shorter part is what goes in there, okay? That way. Pretty manky inside actually, so that's my first issues. Pretty manky. Right, inside you can see the sponge. You can see that. There you go. So you don't just rip it out. There's 2 screws there, and there, which you have to take out. Right then, now the sponge should just quite simply come out, he says. Yeah. There you go. one sponge. And pretty manky actually. Now, I watched on the FZRQVBRILQVKFWTQ website, the guy just took an air gun to it, and that was it. This might need a little bit more than that, but I'm going to wash that filter and let it dry 100%. That could do with a clean. We'll clean that, and then the other thing that you're meant to do is get a good degreasing product inside that and give it a good scoosh out. Spotless. Lovely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash that filter and I'm going to let it dry overnight with these, just to make sure that they're totally dry. There's no water ingress in them whatsoever or any degreasing. And then we'll fit that back on tomorrow. Because the airbox degreased and the sponge filter, give it a light wash to be honest, because it was absolutely manky. So come with me. Like every good paramotor pilot, at some point they're going to be drying stuff on a radiator. My wife's probably going to divorce me. She's at work at the moment, so there's a lovely slight hint of petrol in the air. So they should be thoroughly dried before I even attempt to put them back on the paramotor. So we'll stick them back tomorrow. In the meantime, we'll go and do the spark plug. Right then, changing the spark plug. For a start, FZRQVBRILQVKFWTQ recommend an NGK spark plug, the BR9ES, okay, I don't know if you can see that. There we go, and the spark gap itself should be up to 0.9, between 0.7 and 0.9 mil. So get a feeler gauge on that when you're, if you're checking your spark plug. So here's how to change a spark plug. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, it's not a difficult thing to do, but just in case you don't know how to. So, HT lead, there's only one for obvious reasons, there it is. As you're taking things apart, just inspect as well while you're there, you may as well, there's no degradation in the cable, it's all secure, the cap's okay, etc, etc, so, you know, just be careful. When I'm flying, in one of my pockets, I've got a little toolkit, which this is in, and I've got a spare spark plug in there. Two-stroke engines, they eat spark plugs, so you never know when you might have an engine out due to a spark plug issue. So always carry a spare with you, and if I ever land in a field and I think it's a spark plug issue, I can swap the spark plug around quite quickly. But anyway, let's take this bad boy out, look at the state of it, shall we? Okay, a little bit tight that one actually. Right, there it is. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a coffee colour. That is perfect. If you have a look at this diagram, which I shall stick up, we're looking for number 2 there, which this is. So that's good. So we're looking for a nice coffee colour on that, on the spark plug. Also, if you're not changing your spark plug, what you can do is you can take them out, give them a good clean, feeler gauge in there, and make sure it's between 0.7 and 0.9 mil, the gap there. But not bothered about that. For I'm putting a brand new one in. In she goes. So, according to the good manual here, distance between the spark plug electrode should be between 0.7, which is a new spark plug, and 0.9, which is a worn spark plug limit. So there you go. And when we're tightening this, it needs to be tightened to 25 Newton meters. So we'll do that. Okay, so we are set. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not, but we're set to 25 Newton meters. Check again. And what we'll do is we'll nip this bad boy up. Here we go. So there we go, lovely fresh spark plug in there. HT lead is good, is intact. And what we'll do is we'll put the cover on, give it a good click in. There we go. That's better. That's good. Just make sure it's secure. Yeah, that's pretty good. Don't want that coming out while you're in mid-air. That's a proper engine out when that happens. And I've seen it before. I've seen guys have to land in a field, click their spark plug HT cap back in, and off they go again. Now there's two little clips inside there that grip onto the spark plug, so you can get a pair of pliers in there and tighten them if they're too slack. So this one's good though. Yep, that ain't going nowhere. So there we go. That's the spark plug done. Airbox done. When it's dry tomorrow and the smell of petrol's gone out of my house. And tomorrow what we'll do is we'll tackle the carburetor. So what we'll be doing tomorrow is, there we go, taking out the 4 bolts there. This comes back, and then there's a diaphragm in there which you can just pull off, and behind there's a bit of mesh there. Now it can get clogged up, so that's a job for tomorrow while the weather sucks. Right then everybody, I think that's it for the night. I'm going to drink an obscene amount of tea, watch some Netflix I think, and then we'll come back tomorrow. We'll stick the airbox back on, we'll clean the mesh out of the carburetor, and then we'll do all the standard checks. All the bolts are secure, exhaust secure, everything like that, and then we'll probably fire her up just to make sure that I've not inadvertently done something, just to test it. It's all good, and then we're good for a flight. And it would be really good if the weather played ball, because we're now well into January and I've not had a flight for 2025 yet. Till tomorrow team, see you then.
And here is pilot McRitchie finding the best place for takeoff. It's the age of his co-pilot, Poppy.
I'm flying!
As he takes to the skies gracefully. And stop.
Hi friends, looks like the weather's getting better. It's stopped that blustery, horrible, snowy showers now, and the roads seem to be getting better as well. We just need the wind to come down. We're on a winner. Well, it's official. I'm weak. Right, legends. Let's get back and get this 25-hour service done. We're back from our excursion. Let's get this show on the road. Oh, one thing before we go. Okay everyone, so taking these off the radiator, they are totally dry, which is important, totally dry. So so basically putting this back together is just the reverse. So what you do, first of all, is you get the sponge back in there, there we go, and then to manipulate it around a little bit so that it's sitting almost at an angle. There we go, I'd say that was pretty much it. You can see that, but it's pretty much in there. There you go. Right, and not forgetting the screws. I put these down over there, and because I'm getting old, forgot where I put them, so it took me a couple of minutes to figure out where they were. So screws in the top. Then this, if you remember rightly, the other day I was saying that the large piece points downwards and the small piece is what goes into there. Now, there's going to be a bit of manhandling
All woman.
to get this in, because that ridge has obviously got to fit flush inside there. So sit back, get a brew on, and watch me struggle as I try and get this in. There we go. Longer bit, pointing down. Job's a good one. Now, you may have noticed I was using a screwdriver to just poke that in there. Just be careful when you're doing that, because you do not want to stab a hole in that. There's a good one. You can just see the sponge in there as well, I think. Can you? Yeah, just maybe just, but yeah. Cool. So we're not going to put this back on yet. It's ready to go, because with this off, it gives me easier access to the back of the carburetor, because we want to check that mesh that's in there. On that, if you filter your fuel before you put it into your Paramotor or before you mix it, then the chances of that mesh getting all clogged up are far less. So, I would highly recommend a fuel filter. There's this is made by a company called Flowtool. There's another one called Mr. Filter. There's quite a few on the market. So basically, dirty fuel in, which is pretty much all fuel you get from your petrol station. Not as clean as you think, and it filters through a paper filter inside there before you put it into your fuel tank, or you can do it before you're mixing the fuel. So hopefully when we take the back off the carburetor, there should be no obstructions in that mesh, but worth checking anyway. Right then, screwdriver in hand, we'll be undoing those screws there to reveal the mesh, which is under a diaphragm and about there. Here we go. Right then, so as you can see, the back is off, revealing this diaphragm. Just be careful when you take it off, because you might get some residual fuel leak out, etc. So just nothing to be alarmed about, but just be careful. So I'm going to prise this back, being very careful with it, and then we'll just check whether that mesh is all clogged up or not. There we go. Pull that off very carefully. Just check nothing's perished on it. These are quite fragile. And this looks in good nick actually. I'll give it a little clean as well before we put it back. So I'm going to stick that down there. Right then. And there's the mesh there. I said it was down there, so clearly goes to show how much I know. So there's the mesh there. Now, to me, it looks quite good actually. It doesn't look like there's much in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little clean out, a little scoosh, and just make sure that there's no debris in there. But it looks quite good actually. And using some petrol, I'll probably just give it a wee scoosh out. I wouldn't put anything like a cloth on that or anything like that. You do not want to clog that up or spray it with all sorts of different kind of like WD-40 or any of that crap. No, it's a carburetor at the end of the day. So I've got a little mixing bottle here. So this will fit in there nicely, I think. Put that in there just to give it a wee clean. Excellent. Spotless. There's a couple of little bits on it, but it's all gone now. Spotless. Got some fuel here. Just make sure that that's definitely all. Yeah. A couple of little bits of shit in there. Nothing much though. Always nervous working on carburetors because although it's quite old technology, a carburetor, they're pretty complicated to set up. So I'm hoping that it's all good after this. Right then, so self-explanatory. It will go that way, back on, I'll just make sure that everything lines up before I commit. So let's put that back on. Right. So that pretty much lines up nicely. So all we'll do is we'll just make sure that's on, and then we'll get the top back on. Right then, gearbox. Apologies first, I said make sure that's pointing down the other way. No, pointing upwards. But then you would have established that when you tried to put it on and it didn't work, like I just did just now. I'm getting old. Right, so, gearbox. This bit pointing up. Simply goes on there. Now hold on. Got our retaining ring. Stick that round. Right then, that's on, screwed up, this is on, these are on, and I've got the retaining bungee here. All I need to do is put some tape around that to stop it from moving, and then we're good. Right then, so we've done the airbox, we've checked the mesh in the carburetor for debris, we've changed the spark plug. I know I've said it before, checking the starter, the dogs, recoil spring, all that sort of good stuff would be something else I would have done, but as I said before, I've done that to death. That's been completely re-stripped, rebuilt. 25-hour service, almost complete. It's easy to just bugger off now, walk away, and that's it. But if you look at the good book, there are still other things to do. So, are screws and nuts tight? Exhaust bushings. I changed my bushing about 5-hour flight time ago because it was starting to leak a little bit. So that's been done. What else? And check the belt. So we're going to do that in a minute actually. So apart from all the standard checks you should do anyway, which I'm going to do, we'll go and check the belt for tension. Now I do check this regularly, but I'll go through how you do that. It's not a case of measuring it with like a tape measure or something like that for certain play. In good Italian style, and I used to have to do this with my Ducati motorcycle when I used to own one of them, far too old for those now, you are going to pluck the belt like a guitar string and it will let off a frequency obviously, which we will pick up using an app, a tensioning app. First installation we're looking for between 500 and 520 Hertz. If we're retensioning, i.e. what I'm about to do, we're looking for between 430 and 450 Hertz. Now the app I use is an app called Easy Tension by a company called Hutchison, which is there. And what you do is you press that button there, you can see that's the last reading I ever had. You press the measurement button, pluck it, and we're looking for something between 430 and 450 Hertz. Let's see what my tension is. Right then, I should be able to get in there and give it a good pluck. So there's the app. Let's press measurement and see what we get. We're looking for between 430 and 450 Hertz. So let's press the measurement button and see what we get. Excellent. .436. Happy with that. So that's in between the 430 and the 450 Hertz that we're looking for. What you want to do now is, as you would do normally anyway, we want to go around the whole paramotor, making sure that all the fittings for the frame are good. All the exhaust clips, brackets, you can see here, these go quite a lot on these paramotors. So just make sure these are all secure. The baffles are okay. If you tap them and you hear rattling, then the material inside's gone. You know, your hand points, the bolts on that, absolutely everything structurally. So I'm going to be going around and checking those out. I'm not going to go through that because that will bore you to death. And then we're pretty good. I think the next stage after that is I'll stick the paramotor on my back, prime it and start it, just to make sure that I haven't inadvertently moved something when I've been doing the carburetor. So we'll get to that in a minute. Right, checked all the bolts, etc, etc, everything. So, and I gave it a good clean. It's been used and abused over the last few months, but a nice bit of engine degreasant on it, just to get rid of all the rubbish, and a little coating of WD-40 where necessary. And it's looking good now, ready to go. Right then, let's strap this on and fire her up. It's a chilly one tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Right then, let's do this. Just make sure I don't get everything caught. Right then, I've primed her. Just make sure, yeah, we're all good. Throttle in hand. Where's my starter? Right. It's better. Well, she starts. For some reason, since I've cleaned out the carb, etc., it looks like the idle is affected. So I'm going to turn the idle down a little bit, and then we'll flash her up again. Right, let's try again, shall we? As always, throttle in hand. Let's check the cruise control isn't on. Right, let's try again. That's better. I'll do a separate video on setting up your carb. Well, we're looking for a good idle, that is. And also, is it responsive? So if you hit it hard, the engine should instantly respond. So it's like this. And also, when you hit the throttle, it shouldn't cut out either. Plenty of power there, so that's good. Excellent. I'd say that was a successful 25-hour service. So just in case you're wondering, I'll probably do a separate video on setting your carb up. Because whenever you service your Paramotor or do any significant changes, it can often affect the idle or the performance of the engine. Now, all I've done is clean out the carb mesh, clean the airbox out and change the spark plug, and you could see that my idle was completely changed. So it's important that you know how to set your carb up. Now, there's two screws on your carburetor, one that you don't touch or you shouldn't touch. It's usually sealed from factory unless you really know what you're doing about. And then you've got an idle screw. So I'll probably put up a separate video on how to set your carbs up at some point, but just in case you're wondering, there's the carb there. There's obviously the priming button there, and if I can just, you can see one of the screws is there. We not touch that one, and then the other screw is just behind it like that. And as you move it up and down, you will increase or decrease the idle of your Paramotor. So important that you know how to do that, and we'll do a separate video on that. All we need now is the goddamn weather. So hopefully the next time you see me, we'll actually be flying. That would be really nice. Until then, my friends, it's been a pleasure. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll speak to you all soon.
That's never petrol. That's all about.